Good evening. Welcome to another Coach Vincent Show, hosted by Roosters at the Tower Center off of 1431. Coach, what another great game. LBJ, a lot of history from last year, and another W. What was the great thing that you really saw this week with the team?
Well, all these non-district games are, everything about each game gives you a different challenge. You hope that when you schedule those type games that it'll give you a different look to help prepare you for district. And probably the biggest thing at this game was just the challenge of we got off to a really good start. Right before halftime, would have liked to got that score in, but we didn't. Came out the second half and responded. And then LBJ got the game with eight points later in the game, and really was a chance for us to see how our team would respond to that type of situation. And I was really proud of them for continuing to do the things that we had worked on all week and establish themselves defensively and offensively in that third and fourth quarter to get a win. So probably the biggest thing for us was just being able to handle a game on the road like that in that type of atmosphere, and then being able to handle a game with a team that's that fast and that good on offense and defense.
And that's what we talked about last week. I mean, the speed on offense and defense. I mean, number 6, Wojtowski, he's a speedy guy, and you talked about discipline. And the defense definitely showed that. I think it was just a couple turnovers in the second half that they got good field position, but overall, the defense was really great.
We were really, really proud of our defense against their run game. He's a good player, and we knew at some point he might get loose, and he did. He got it loose a couple times. But for the most part, whenever we had a chance to make tackles in space, we had a lot of guys around the football, and that helps. So I was really proud of our defensive effort.
What is one thing that really stood out this week that just really made an impact, just not on you and the coaches, but the team overall?
Biggest thing is, the things I mentioned earlier was just the challenges that come with playing on the road in that type of atmosphere, because this is our first road game, and we're going to have to be really good on the road in our district. So those aspects and being able to travel and do those things, I thought was really good for our team. Offensively, I thought we were really proud of our offense for being able to overcome a couple of turnovers in that game. We had a couple drives that didn't go our way, and quite honestly, LBJ is so fast on defense. There were some mistakes that we made early on, but I was proud of our offense for just staying with it. So as a coaching staff, seeing our offense continue to stay with what they're doing and be able to get some really good drives down the stretch in that football game. Being able to take the football away too. We had an interception for a touchdown by Tyler Harris. R.J. Phillips had a critical interception in that game. So seeing our defense get on track with taking the football away. And then on special forces, we did a good job of covering kicks and keeping it away. Diogo did a good job of keeping it away from their really good return guys.
Absolutely. And how about before we head into the next week's game, we have players of the game. I think it would be a good time to talk about that, as well as sub-varsity. Sub-varsity is doing well. You got a lot of young kids that are doing great jobs, and the kids that are playing on varsity had to be there at one point. Throughout with the players of the game, you might want to talk about some of those guys too.
Yeah, I thought what I'd do tonight is talk about our varsity players of the game, and then since we're going to be interviewing our 2 defensive MVPs this week, I'll mention our sub-varsity defensive guys too.
Great.
Players of the week, offensive lineman this week was Brandon Eggers. Offensive back was Matt Snow. Receiver was Cody Williams. Our offensive MVP was Isaiah Valere. Defensive back of the week was Tyler Harris. Defensive lineman was Christian Boyd. Our linebacker was Jeremiah Chambers. And our defensive MVP of this week, who you're going to speak to later on, is Jay Mobley and R.J. Phillips. Those two had outstanding game. For a defensive lineman, probably one of the bigger production type guy. Normally from your defensive line, you don't expect as many tackles as Jay had. He was real active against LBJ, so we were proud to have him here tonight. Special Forces MVP was Bo Jackson and Christian Dominguez. And then our Hammer Award this week goes to Bryce Dahl, one of the smaller guys on our team, but he had a great hit in that game. It was voted on by our entire coaching staff. Really proud for Bryce for that. Hard hats, talking about some of our younger players. Our hard hats this week were Jacob Towdy, Connor Higgins, Matthew McDonald, Alex Mercado, Eric Grimaldo, Aiden Flores, Jordan Cryer, and Landon Gilman. And then our defensive MVPs of all our sub-varsity, since we're on the subject, would be for JV football was Eric Grimaldo, had an outstanding game. JV had a big win that night. Sophomore football team, our defensive MVP was Landon Gilman. He's come on strong and done a really good job at his linebacker spot for us on the sophomore team. Freshman red team, our defensive MVP was Oliver Marks. And on our freshman black football team, our defensive MVP was Avery Allen. Really proud of the progress those two freshman teams are making also. They had some really tight ball games, but some really good ball games on Thursday night. Looking forward to these kids playing on Thursday night, and I hope everybody will come out and watch them. Also, I know we're going to be talking about Elgin, but also it's middle school football night. We're gonna be honoring our Stiles Middle School program, our Henry Middle School football program. Those kids will be there Friday night, as well as maybe some principals to help us with the coin toss. But also, it's the 14th anniversary of 9/11, and we'll be paying tribute to first responders and also veterans that night at the beginning of the football game.
That's fantastic, and of course that's at Gupton Stadium at 7:30.
Yes, sir.
And always the sub-varsity games are on Thursdays. I believe both freshman teams will be at Vista Ridge.
Yes, sir.
Vista Ridge Stadium on Thursday. All right, great. Well, then now we have Elgin. I mean, they played Vandergrift pretty tough at the beginning of their game. Vandergrift, obviously, one of the bigger names in our district, and as well as the Barbecue Bowl, Bastrop last week. They lost to Bastrop, but another battle, and they always play us tough. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, and buts. What are we looking for from an offense and defensive scheme, and what do you expect?
Okay, I mean, overall as a team, they always play physical. Elgin's always a physical team, so we have to be prepared for that. Offensively, they're very multiple. They get into a single wing set, they're in a spread set, they overload you, they do a lot of different things offensively. So defensively for us, number one thing is getting lined up. We always talk about how important it is to be lined up properly in a good stance, knowing your keys. That'll be critical for our defense because they have at least 3 offensive weapons that they use those multiple formations and sets to get those guys loose, and they will challenge you between the tackles on the perimeter, and they'll challenge you down the field. So they kind of stretch you all over the field offensively. They have a good offensive attack over there. Coach Garfield's done a really good job with that offense. And then, on the defensive side of the football, they're real aggressive. Their linebacker play, those guys are real aggressive. A lot of times they'll have 5 guys up on the line of scrimmage and they're attacking. So it's important that our offensive line and our backs pick those guys up in our protections on our throwing game, but also in our run game, just making sure that at the point of attack we've got a body on a body and we can give our backs some creases. I think they've got they've got a returning linebacker who's fantastic, and their defensive backfield they've got a couple guys that are returning at the corner position that did a really good job for them last year. On their special teams, they had you mentioned that Bastrop game. They had a guy return a kick for a touchdown last week, so we're gonna have to be great on special forces again because they do a good job there.
I think they've done that to us a few times.
Yeah, they've always had either a trick up their sleeve on offense or a big-time special teams play against us. So those are the keys for us going into that Elgin game, making sure we do those things.
And one thing that you hear a lot about, is size. In our offensive line, there's a lot of size this year, and they're fast as well, and they're really protecting our backs. Last week we had speed on the defensive side, and they're physical. What's the difference in that the fans and everybody can see this year, this game, with our offensive line versus last week?
I think the biggest difference is it's a different scheme for us. They're not quite as big up front as LBJ, but they're quick and they're able to get off blocks. I think their linebacker core is going to be a key for us. That's the one thing that our offensive line's got to be able to stay on combos up front, but be able to get up to linebackers, let the linebackers also. So to me, that's the biggest difference. I would say on the edge, they're comparable to what we saw last week. good speed at the corner position, real athletic and physical type kids. So I would say that'd be similar. But the biggest difference is the scheme that they run and the way they do it.
Is there anything that those middle school players should feel when they're running out of that helmet this week? I mean, that's a big thing for the middle school night.
I hope they enjoy being at Gupton and being around our players. I hope that it's a great night for them. They scrimmage tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Actually, it's their first scrimmage, so it seems like we've been going a while, and they're just scrimmaging and getting going. I got to watch some of their practices this week, and it's exciting to see new 7th graders coming in, and it's going to be exciting to see how our 8th grade programs progress from last year also.
Again, it's a home game at Gupton Stadium, 7:30 p.m. We're going to have a tailgate at 5:30, and then of course the Spirit Line at 6 o'clock. If you've never experienced that, it's really great, especially if you can see them coming from over at Vista Ridge High School, walking to Gupton. It's a real treat. So be there early, and thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
This evening joining us is R.J. Phillips, senior inside linebacker for Vista Ridge, and also co-MVP for defense this week. How was the game? I mean, how did that feel now? 2 games under your belt for the season. How's it feeling?
This game in particular was very. I've been waiting for that game for a long time. Ever since last year, I think everybody can say the same. Since that loss, that's all we were thinking about doing all season.
Well, and I think, with that, I mean, the communities too. I mean, there's a lot of respect on both sides now too, after last year and how the events happened and how you guys handled that loss. I think that there's, a lot of respect on both sides and some great play. What was one play that just, that you remember this week and got you really excited and just felt like, yeah, football's really back?
This week, I think the opening drive, when we shut them out, first 3 and out, that set the tone for the entire game. So just got everybody excited.
I talked about it with Matt Snow last week. I mean, this senior core group, you guys you play at a different level, just the way that you guys feed off each other. Tell me about that and how it's helping you guys so far this year.
I think that this year in particular, since I've been on varsity for 3 years, this is like the funnest locker room I've ever been a part of. Ever since like being in the weight room the first week of school, we probably had the best lift. It was the loudest, most exciting time that I've had lifting at Vista Ridge High School. So.
I've heard Cole likes to really get into lifting.
Oh yeah, he's a character in the weight room.
That's a good thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Gotta keep it lively. So, I mean, with that said, I mean, last week I asked everybody, all the guys that were here, Matt and Tyler, what their favorite subject was. So this week I figured I'd ask, what's a pregame ritual that really gets you going and something that happens before every game for you?
I think I started this last year. I would wear a Hawaiian leg, usually made by my grandma, before every single game, and that just usually set me in the right mind for the game coming up.
Didn't you give a bunch of those last year too?
Oh yeah, but that's probably not going to happen again. Yeah.
So, looking towards Elgin, what are you excited about? I mean, we're back home at Gupton. What are you looking forward to?
Oh yeah, it's a second game back at Gupton, and Elgin's always a fun team to play against because they don't give up. For 4 quarters, they'll play you as hard as they can, and that's, as a player and as a competitor, you just enjoy that.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing you on Friday night, and congrats on the co-MVP.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And here's our other co-MVP, Jay Mobley. Jay, first thing I have to say is watching you this year has been really fun. I mean, you are attacking and fast and disrupting everything, and I can see why that you're co-MVP. How's it feeling?
It's feeling great. Just being back with the team and being back after my surgery and everything, and being back with the team, playing with them, and just having fun with everything is just great. I'm so glad to be back in the locker room, back out on the field with these guys. It's just amazing.
What's one play, kind of like what I asked RJ, what's one play that just really you remember this week, or a series? Or
I'd have to say Tyler's interception for a touchdown. That really got me hyped up about the game and everything, about our win. So.
What's something this year that you're just feeling that is bringing the team really close together, just kind of staying with what happened last year, a lot of momentum. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling the fact that we're all seniors and that we all enjoyed being around each other so much, and just that we enjoyed doing pretty much everything together, just playing, lifting, and running and everything. It's just so much fun for everybody.
And what are you looking forward to with Elgin?
I'm looking forward to the way they play and just getting in that game, going against their offensive line. There's some great guys over there, some great athletes. I'm just looking forward to playing against them, getting a W.
And then with that, I mean, pre-game ritual. What's something that you do and you know it's not going to change? It's something you feel like you have to do before every game.
I would say not before, like right before every game, but every game day I eat cookies for lunch. Not a lot of them because you know the coaches wouldn't like that, but just a few of them. That's what I've been doing for a while now. It seems to help me. So.
Oh, absolutely. I used to have milk and cookies with my grandma the night before, so I understand that. Well, great. Well, congratulations on the co-MVP. Look forward to seeing you there on Friday night. Again, Friday night at Gupton Stadium, 5:30 for the tailgate, 6 o'clock for the Spirit Line, and 7:30 kickoff. And of course, we're going to have a very special 9/11 tribute. It will be the 14th anniversary of the 9/11 events, and we look forward to everybody. And go Rangers!